Welcome back to the Better Men, Better Ball Player podcast. I'm your host, Trey Cobb. I want to thank you for joining us here in our 54th episode, where I get to highlight and have great conversations with great people that are growing our game, teaching our people, teaching the people we have, using the stage that we have to grow the game and grow our players, not just as great physical tools, but to also grow them in skills that they will use beyond the game of baseball. And right now, I'm highlighting and really just want to kick of just looking at some assistant coaches because I really believe that great programs are also built around great assistant coaches. You need that guy behind the scenes caring for the program, looking for the best interest of kids, helping to highlight and take things off of the head coach's plate. And today I get a chance to talk to Bryan Madsen. B-Mad is an incredible person. He's been on some national podcasts. He's friends with Jeremy Sheetinger, one of the best good friends, and just an incredible person I've got a chance to meet this year, and just really fortunate to be able to call this guy up and text him, and then for him to carve out some time for me was just incredible. And been able to spend some time with him this year. It's unbelievable. You know, people talk about this year and COVID and how terrible it was, and I've been really blessed through this podcast and just through the people I've gotten to know this year. And Bryan's right up there. So Coach Madsen, he's from California. He is assistant coach at Arroyo Grande High School in California, in California. And he's also coaches with USA Baseball. He's a coaching staff member there, part of USA Baseball. Gets for USA across his chest, and he's also the co-founder of Coastal Empire Baseball. Him and RJ was guest last week on the show, and both guys are just extremely passionate about infield, and they're just extremely passionate about servant and serving the youth and serving the game and serving the communities around them, and you'll hear Bryan talk about that selflessness and talk about wanting to make someone else a hero, trying to live today to help someone else become a hero. He's a former Marine, served our country, and many deployments. And I've gotten to hear him talk about the walk, and he talks about that perspective a couple times during our conversation. So I want to thank you for that service first and foremost, for sure. And but Bryan is a true servant, and Bryan is a true patriot. Talks about how much the anthem means to him, especially when he's wearing the USA. Just a dude. Bryan Madsen is just a dude. He's a grow of men, relationship-based coach, and but a very passionate coach, very very intense. Can be very intense, and is known throughout the country for what he does. And Arroyo Grande is fortunate to have such a great man, an assistant coach who really just wants to serve Arroyo as best as he can. So can't wait to dive into this conversation with you guys. We go through some great stuff from, like I said, his relationships, how he's able to do things that head coaches aren't able to do. From him being pulled in so many different directions, and that's what he really enjoys about the assistant coach role. And from the things he gets to do from a defensive standpoint and from base running standpoint, and just the lessons that he's learned throughout his career of being a great assistant and being where your feet are. So without further ado, again, Bryan, can't thank you enough. I know you guys are going to enjoy this one with assistant coach Bryan Madsen of Arroyo Grande High School, USA Baseball, co-founder of Coastal Empire Baseball. Here he is, Bryan Madsen.
The idea that you're almost a little more hands-on, you kind of feel like you're in the trenches. You don't have to worry about the extenuating stuff, and you're just building relationships and teaching kids how to play baseball, and life. And I think, sometimes the head guys got so much on their plate, from fundraising to this to that, and they're pulled 6 different ways in practices. And then maybe as an assistant, you get those closer relationships,
Mm-hmm.
where you can really dig in and get to know these kids a little bit. And when you're working in a smaller group, if I have, like today, I had infielders for a little bit, and I had my outfielders, and you break them up into little groups, and I think you can get to know them a little more. And I think that helps on the back end, maybe where there is a problem, or you see the kid is maybe not like he normally is, and you see that better. But I know some head guys that have some great relationships too.
Yeah.
I've seen situations to where sometimes that the head guy's not at practice for an hour. He's got a ton of admin stuff to do or things like that.
Right.
So that has kind of always taken me away from it, from really wanting to do that. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but right now I'm happy where I am.
Do you find it where they just open up more to you than they would maybe to the head coach?
Yeah. I think maybe because I have more of an opportunity to be around them. Like I said, in those smaller groups, or when you have like today, I was working with my shortstop on just backhands and getting in the right spot. And you have those little 10-minute snippets where it's just you and him. And then you're talking about backhands. And the next thing you know, you're talking about how's things going, how was your weekend, like how was Passover, things like that, legitimate conversations we have, because you get to know them. And I think, like I said, I've had opportunities to do some things and I haven't done them. And I'm not saying it'll never happen, but as long as I can continue to build those relationships with the right people around me to help me do that, that's what matters. At the end of the day, we're trying to build, husbands and fathers, not major league players. They tend to kind of build themselves.
They do. Amen to that, brother. So I mean, it's just so fortunate. Do you, have you been at Arroyo Grande your whole time in your whole career?
I helped out in Florida a little bit with Nick James, a little bit down south, Orange County area. But as far as my coaching career, yeah, it's been at Arroyo Grande. So
the reason I asked too is just be a matter of like, is it a matter of like hooking your wagon to a specific guy for what they believe in, or hooking your guy to a certain wagon?
Right.
Do you have like any kind of advice there? Is that something that is important to you, or like the reason you've kind of stayed on there?
Well, first and foremost, it's a fantastic place. Like, I'm very lucky in California where I live. I have a really good situation. The coach I coached with, we have a new coach this year, Steve Tolley, who was on staff last year, and kind of took over from a guy that had been there 20 years, Brad Latchman. And, Brad's one of my best friends, and I enjoyed coaching with him. I enjoy where I live. I enjoy the life it gives my family. And I am the guy that's like, I'm comfortable where my feet are, and if that's number one. My family is number one. And there's been some things where I have to pick up and go different places. And I'm lucky in California. I'm right by the beach. I'm not in LA. I'm not in San Francisco. I'm right in the middle. And I have a fantastic situation. So that's part of it too, is this area where I'm at. We made a ton of headway. I feel like I really jumped up coaching in the last 2 years. Like, I think we were good and I was a decent coach, but I feel like in the last 2 years, I've bought into so many things that almost make me think I don't know anything, that I'm consistently learning more and more. Like, all those guys that I talk to on a daily basis. And I see someone like Butch or Sheetinger or Adam Mosley, who's been coaching for a while, and those guys are still trying to figure it out. So it's like, that's how I need to be at. And I haven't been coaching near as long as them. So I've been really grinding down, both in coaching and my life, on just being a zero, being neutral, seeing what I can work on to get better, seeing how I can make relationships better, both personal life, with strangers, and in baseball, and just realizing you're on the ground floor. And in the last, 2 years, I kind of feel like I've just jumped this level in my head, like the confidence, everything, it's just all kind of coming together. So and it's great. And then at the same day, I'm like, oh, I don't know anything today. I got to learn something more today. So
yeah. So really centered around just being a learner is really what you thought is kind of taking the next step.
Yeah. I feel bad for people that think they've got it all figured out. Like to think, well, I'm not going to learn anything new. I know it all. And this is what life is. And it's like, I'm 46 years old and my life continues to get better and better and better. And I think that mindset helps.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get married till I was 30. Well, let me see. I better get this right. 39. Right. And I'd have been a terrible husband, like when I was in my mid 20s. And so now I got married and I had my kids, and it's just like, there's more and more to offer in life. Mm-hmm. And it's like that in coaching too. It's like, there's so much more to offer every day. It's learning a new way to do something and then being able to translate that to the kids. And I had a kid the other day tell me, there's a kid that's been here 4 years, and he took a fastball to the face in a scrimmage, had surgery, tough kid. He's back already. This was only like a month ago. And he goes, yeah, can you send me your podcast? Even though I did the one I did with Sheeninger.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying. He comes up to me and he texts me. He goes, Coach, I really appreciate it. I realize now that it's not just about me and these 3 people on the team. It's about everybody. It's about the worst guy on the team to the best guy. Those guys need as much attention. And to see him have that growth, it's really almost like good for you, and now keep learning. Take what you just learned and put that to the rest of your life, and understand that you don't know anything. You don't know anything. I don't know anything. You're learning, it's where am I going to be in 6 months? I don't know. I didn't think I'd ever be here doing what I'm doing. So it's a cool life if you let it be cool and realize you don't know anything, and just kind of walk through it dumb and trying to pick things up as you go.
Yeah, it's like the humbleness in it too. I think you get people also say being humble. How would you? Okay, because you're a Marine, or you say full Marine. How do you? Was it hard for you? Like you said, you kind of made this transition here later on in life. Was it hard for you to be that humble and say I don't know anything as a Marine? Like when you were younger, your mid 20s.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I had a rough transition out of the Marine Corps. Not for any, I guess everybody has their own emotional things and mental things they go through, but I think I genuinely thought that everybody owed me something, and so to say, where's the humility come from? I think humility comes from the world showing you that you're not as good as you think you are, or you're not as important as you think you are. There's billions of other people out there, and I'm just a speck, but I need to make sure that my little circle in the world is good, and then other people. So I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I think for a long time I did, and I think that I thought that people owed me something, and it didn't benefit me. That thought doesn't benefit me. It didn't benefit my personal life. It didn't benefit my professional life. I think when I stopped thinking about myself so much and thinking that the world revolved around me, then things started getting better incrementally. And then now it's like, I'm the smallest thing on the earth, and it's fantastic. I love it. I love seeing the world like that, because there's people you run across daily who their lives just as important as yours, and they don't even know who you are. So it's like, I think somebody told me, a psychologist told me one time, you have 2 types of people in the world. You have people that look at life as a bullseye, and they're in the middle, and everything revolves around them. Then you have people who look at it like a checkerboard, right? There's different colors, different things, but everybody's pretty equal. All the squares are pretty equal, and that's the world. That's how I see the world. Like, to understand, there's people out there that don't think like you. They have different experiences, and you have to give those people a chance to live their lives. And by me walking through life thinking that everybody owed me something was completely unfair to myself and them. So the humility comes from getting kicked in the teeth by life when I thought I was better than I was.
Mm-hmm. So, and then to have the awareness and the self-awareness and put yourself around good people.
Yeah.
And now here you are, continue to learn and get better.
Well, what's funny? Like I say, I say I don't believe in luck, right? I don't believe in luck. If I could teach my children something, I want them to think they're, sounds bad. I'll just hear this out. I want them to think they're unlucky, and they're not smarter than anybody, right? So there's no luck. Nothing's just going to fall in your lap. You got to work harder than anybody, and everybody else is smarter than you. So you got to work harder than them for that too. So don't think, even from like writing things down. I consistently tell people, hey, write it down. I'll remember it. Write it down. I'll remember it. You think you're smarter than you are. You're not going to write it down. You're not going to remember it. I think I'm not that smart. Write it down. And now I have notes all over my house.
Right.
But yeah, I do. It comes from work, and it's the decisions. Life is miserable, and here's how you got there. Why don't you do the opposite? Try something different and see how that works. So, yeah.
So cool, man. It's awesome.
It's, it's almost being comfortable, not being, having more interest in not happy, but being satisfied. Right? There's a lot of things I could do that are super fun. It would make me really happy. That wouldn't be good for other people. It wouldn't be good for my marriage. It wouldn't be good for my children. But the hard work that I put in to be a good father, to be a good husband, to remind myself that it's not satisfying. And that's where I look at it. Stop having fun and start being satisfied.
Being satisfied. And being like you said earlier about being where your feet are. Yeah.
And didn't realize you need to wake up and work for that satisfaction again, because that day's over and, it's time to move on. Then you got to go. Just, RJ says it, 0.01% better every day. And if you look at that over years, that's kind of how I got to where I am in 46 years. And I'm super stoked where I'm going to be in 50 years. Those challenges and mental fights that you have with yourself. And sure. I look forward to those now instead of running from them.
Awesome. You look forward to those conversations.
Yeah. When I'm comfortable, nothing good happens. I hate to say it. I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable, if that is okay. When I am, if I don't get up and work out, I'm in a different mood. And it's just you got to put in your time and your effort, and in all aspects.
Mm-hmm.
No free lunches in nature.
That's right. Awesome. We're rolling, man. We are rolling. I knew it. So let's get into then, the conversations you get to have. So is there mostly those relationships and most of these skills you're trying to even bring when you're trying to talk to the kids? Like you just talked about the kid who got hurt. Are you mostly just a small group, kind of authentic, spur of the moment, kind of here it is a practice for 10 minutes, or will you be even more, does your head coach allow you maybe some specific time, maybe in a classroom setting, or do you do once a week kind of sessions?
I've been really fortunate that the two head coaches I've had here, Brad and Steve, have really given me a lot of freedom to address the team, talk to the team, take the time to instruct the team before we go on the field. Some of it goes, after BP, the other team's taking BP, and we'll go sit in the classroom and talk. And sometimes we talk about life, and sometimes we talk about what we could do better. I try and decompress them. Sometimes it's text messages, hey, you good? You looked a little off today. And it's okay. And then those can turn into longer conversations that maybe you make a phone call or you just text and then you talk the next day, you check in on them, and how teenagers are. The next day, the world's great again. Yeah. So I'm really lucky that I think both head coaches understand I have something to offer, and they give me that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed with head coaches that don't have to be the end all be all. It's great.
Yeah, that is definitely nice. Well, I'm sure you would have a feel there too if you weren't going to be able to do that. But yeah, it's very understandable there for sure. Yeah. So I mean, you see guys like Butch and Chuck. They do a lot of these. Not like, but You know, like Chuck's like big mental training, toughness training stuff that they do. Like, do you do
Yeah.
kind of things like that within like the, you know, kind of your background and stuff like that? Are you big into those kind of things?
Sure. Well, we do meditate daily. We do. And the guys have kind of bought into it, and it's cool where these kids that I've had trouble with, the kid that sent me the text about the last guy being as important as him and the 3 other guys, it hasn't been a perfect relationship for 4 years, you know, and that's not to get into that too much, but you see growth in this kid, and you see a humility, and that's the awesome part. And he's learning, and you almost, you know, as far as mental toughness, I try and get them to understand that things could be worse. This is a very small price to pay for, you know, even go from running and being tired to lifting weights. Like there's many people that are going through much more. And
You got to keep their perspective on things.
Keep the perspective. And that's like, you know, we talked about the walk, you know, to understand that somebody woke up today and went to a boat, helicopter, plane, or bus, and they're going to go to a foreign land and they may never come back. And they shut that door to their home. They kiss their wife, their girlfriend, whatever it is, their kids, and they went somewhere. They're not going to be back 6 months to a year. They don't even know if they're coming back. Like that's hard. Walking out your door, making that same walk to your car and going to high school, that's not difficult. Like that's you may be tired, it may be a pain, but to really think about what some people do to give you the ability to do that is really, it's not even humbling. It's like this big source of pride where you feel you need to go be your best. If people are going to do that for you, I mean, think about it. Think about walking out. I never had a wife, girlfriend, children when I was in the Marine Corps, but I had friends that went on multiple deployments, and I left their families and didn't know if they were coming home. And I would ask them, like, I don't know how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And their answer would be, well, that's why we do it, you know, for those people. So everybody here can keep doing what they're doing. So we don't have wars in America. So we go do it over there, you know? So when you put things in perspective, it makes it easier. Now they don't understand that because they're, you know, teenage boys, 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and their world is what it is. But sometimes when you open up their mind to other things, then it gets them through, you know, gets them. And this pandemic's been weird. It's been weird in California, you know, and you think that, you know, the parents want the kids to play, and then the kids aren't playing enough and the parents are upset. So it's like, well, 6 months ago you said all you wanted them to do is be on the field. Yeah. And now back to the same stuff. So it is what it is. And that's part of the grind, I guess. But just and tell them that, like, you know, you're mad because you made an error. Well, a year ago you got kicked off the field and didn't get to play for a year.
Mm-hmm. Keep it in perspective.
Error is not that big of a deal.
Right.
You know, so
keep it in perspective. So you don't seem like a guy like, you know, how people talk about going to war and things like that before our game set, you know, if you have a game mindset, you don't seem like you're on that train at all.
No, not really. I mean, it doesn't mean I can't have intensity, but I don't use those terms.
Right.
Per se. I don't have and you know, Sheets and I talked one time for a while. He takes it like offensive, and he thought I understand what they're trying to do. I get it. At the end of the day, it's a backhanded compliment, like, you know, because that's the ultimate competition is war or battle.
Sure.
And you're trying to get those guys in that mindset. And I could see where people get offended, and I'm whatever. On the other hand, I almost don't want them to think that way in this game. Maybe if we were playing football.
No, that's a good point.
I want them to understand, like, hey, let's just stay where we're at. Something good's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. And I think you would find Marcus Luttrell was talking on something, and he actually said the same thing. You know, in combat, you need to stay calm. You can't be charged up and go running through walls, yelling and screaming. You have to communicate. You have to stay calm. So I think I understand the metaphor. I don't use it. My big thing is, the last thing I say to my guys is, hey, play for the guy next to you. Play for another teammate. What can you do today to help somebody else be a hero? And I tell them I love them. and then I run in, and it's on them.
What
That's
can
it.
you do? What can you do to make
Yeah.
someone else a hero?
Yeah, that's it. Like if you can get them thinking that way in life, then they'll be fine. Not what can I do to be the biggest thing today, but what can I do to make somebody else a hero today?
Awesome. That's it right there. Just absolute selflessness.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And we're 99% selfless on my team right now. And I think the guys that are that 0.1% or that 1%, they're right there. They just don't quite get it. And they will. They'll get it because they're good kids. And it's just a couple more weeks and they'll get it. It just takes time.
For sure. No, and they're also just testing your commitment to it.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of times what they do for us, Are we going to be about it? Are we going to let this guy just because he might be the dude? And are we going to actually stay what we say, stand up for what we believe?
Well, I mean, we are right now, we're 4-0 and we're ranked pretty high. And we're really, really, really busting our backsides on everything that we can control. I have zero complaint. I mean, we've maybe had 2 instances where we had to tell a kid, hey, you need to run hard.
Yeah.
Mistakes we're making is because we're going 200 miles per hour instead of 195. I'm a big running guy. I'm a big base running guy, and we're running the right way. And even when we make outs, I kind of look, like, oh, if he doesn't hesitate, he's safe.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, don't hesitate. Go,
So diving into that, maybe a little bit of baseball here is, so we know, based on what you said earlier, I know that you work with infielders, and then you're also able to put your base running system into.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that been going? So like, will your coaches give you full reign of the base running system?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So defense and base running is pretty much my full reign, and we work together as a team, and you got to take what the head coach wants to do and implement it. I can have suggestions, and there's been things that they don't want to do, but very few. But it's like, but on the other hand, it's like I'm lucky enough to learn this from the smartest people in this game.
Right.
So why wouldn't you want to do it?
Right.
So our base running is very, we're for lack of a better word, I know it's been said, we're the green lights down. The throttle's down the whole time. And even the situation I was talking about, everybody does hey, if you read a curveball in the dirt and you get thrown out at second and you did it right, it's on me. That's fine. And I'm completely into that. We had a situation with 2 outs, guy on first, got a great secondary, ground ball to third baseman. He makes a turn, reads the throw, reads it's going to be a short hop, takes off to a third. First baseman knocks it down. It just happens to stop right in front of him. I mean, it's perfect place. Picks it up, throws him out at third.
Yeah.
Well, he's out by an inch. And you go, third out at third with our big hitter coming up. Maybe we shouldn't do that. And I kicked it back and forth. I kicked it around and then you look at the video, and I even asked the kid. He goes, I hesitated, man. I shouldn't have hesitated. And I go, okay. So I watched the video, and he did. He made the turn, and he stopped, where if he just keeps going, there's nothing to lose. The guy's going to pick the ball, or he's going to be the third out. But just don't hesitate next time. Keep going. Keep going. Even make him get a rundown. I don't know. And I think like that base running to me is a metaphor for life, almost like, let's go full commitment. And if you're going to commit, go hard. Go hard in life. Like if you're going to go. If you're not going to go, then stay there. But, and that's life too. Like if you're going to do something, do it. Don't halfway, and that's what happens. We get in trouble when we go halfway. When we stop making the turn, well, then now we get in trouble because we hesitated when he didn't need to hesitate. And it wasn't even about making a third out at third base because he'd have been safe by 10 feet if he just didn't hesitate.
Mm-hmm. So here's a big time. There's a big time play. You're talking about a ground ball hit the third, ground at first base. He's reading the angle coming around second base. What you're talking about, right? Yeah. So like, how do you put that? So like, how do you like to put that into? Will there be specific drill work that you're going to put into practice during your specific drill time? Will you build that into your infield stuff based on time? Because I know you're public school, right?
Yes.
So, like, I'm sure you have some time restraints and things like that.
Time is of the essence. Yes.
Right. So, how are you able to? Because that's a pretty big time play,
Yeah.
and that's not your standard, just your regular dirt ball read off a pitcher. You're talking like, okay, this guy 3. So, how do you put that in with the time constraints and the challenge that you have?
We talk about it when we do live reps. We'll talk about things. We'll talk about not letting the infielder throw the ball back and put their head down. Like we almost want to, for lack of a better term, we're going to take advantage of all their laziness. All their mistakes are going to turn into runs for us. We don't do anything on the basis slow. Like I don't care if you're fast or if you're slow. We're going to go 100%. If we're going to get a secondary and they're going to take the pitch, we're going to take a hard secondary. We're going to read it, and then we're going to sprint back. We're never going to linger. We're never going to sit. And, unless we're running a play at second base where our guy gets off and he kind of lingers, catcher throws to second, we go to third. Like we are constantly cultivating them looking for more, look for more, look for more, look for more, fight for every inch. And it leads to runs, and leads to victories, and it leads to be honest, it's a fun way to play, and they buy in. It's almost like Little League, and there are certain teams that are really solid and you can't do it against, and you got to know that. But this kid, and I told him, I go, well, you learned, whatever, you're fine. Next time, just don't slow down, because what's the worst that happens? Worst that happens is you make a hard turn. Okay, well, then the third baseman, he's probably going to throw the ball to first base. Okay, if he catches the third out, you're running hard. He makes a bad throw, you're running hard. It could go down the right field line and we score. Worst case situations, what happened? A pick where the first baseman stops it and it just stops in front of him, which I've never seen.
Yeah.
It didn't bounce off. It didn't,
right.
So we constantly look for those dirt balls on the bases, not just at the plate. Like read angles. Yeah. We do a lot of read angles of throws.
Yeah, that's solid. I mean, always head on a swivel for sure. I mean, that's just, those are, even you're teaching guys typically peeking out of the box, let alone peeking around the bases as they're running around, Yeah. Those are good.
Well,
good.
I hammer that. Hammer. You can't run with your head down. You have to know what's going on. Yeah. I mean, how many times have we seen a guy go to steal second? It's a wild pitch and he slides.
Yeah.
Like, God, it kills me. Like, even if you don't go to third, like, make a turn, do something.
Right.
We'll run old school where if you're ball 4 and it's a wild pitch, you better be running to first, because we may be going to second, depending on what that catcher does.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and if you're running with your head up and that catcher makes a throw to second, you may be able to stop and get back. It's enough if you're reading angles. So we do a lot of angle reads. We set it up in our base running. All of our base running is for a purpose. It's not just conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
There's typically a ball in play, or we're reading turns, and we do base running before we throw.
Mm-hmm.
So, we take 3 every day. We take 3 throwdown bags with us, and we set them up 90 feet, and we work on running through first the right way, breaking down the right way, base hit the left, base hit the right, shoulders the right way, hard turns. We work on hitting in front of the bag, inside move on the overthrow, going to second.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we're done with that, our first baseman or middle guys take those throwdown bags and they work footwork around the bag defensively. I figured one time, like, first baseman's got a bag most of the time around his feet. So take a throwdown and just work footwork while you're doing catch play.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's how you get that time management. You really be efficient.
For sure. Right. And I was even thinking, because like RJ, I just talked to RJ. RJ's show just came out today, actually.
Yeah.
But I was just like, he talked about his combo drills. Like even him, like it's a little different there, but he still does like his own. He's at like 20 minutes, so he's like his combo drills from an outfield cutoff to then coming in to do like a 3-6-3 to come in and get a bunt. Just try to. Right. So, and like that kind of really opened my mind. Where like you're saying, there is still like just better use of your time to be able to get the most out of it. When I did that, because you're probably only still limited to a certain amount of time you just do base running, let alone everything else. Because I mean, like I said, that play of like reading throws from an infield standpoint, going across a diamond, like, man, that's Yeah, you got to be purposeful about that.
Sure. And this kid's a good base runner. He's a smart kid. He didn't make the wrong decision. He just kind of went about it wrong, and when it first happened, we kind of came in like, God, should you make that third out at third with our big hitter coming up? And it's like, well, at the time it was 4-0. We were ahead 4-0. I don't want to slow them down. If it was a 1-1 game in the bottom of the sixth, that'd be a different story.
Sure.
And we talked about that, but at the end of the day, it's like you did everything right except continue to accelerate. That's it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
next time.
No, 4-0 ball game there. Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with that. You're trying to put someone home. You're trying to send them home. Right. So we're trying to do at that point. So yeah, man. Oh yeah.
I guess I want our opponent to show up and feel pressured from the moment they walk on.
For sure.
I guess that's kind of, we talked about that West Coast baseball thing.
That's exactly where I was going next, man. Like we're gonna roll right into that, man. Like, because that's all that is, it's a lot of pressure and and feeling those that I know you get excited to talk about your pickoffs and things
sure.
like that you guys do. I know you can't divulge as much as what we could at last time we had talked, but yeah. Oh man, like, so will you incorporate your base running as part of that? Like when you put it in, I'm sure you don't do that right away. I'm sure it's maybe you build up to where you also have live runners, or maybe maybe like you're like the jungle right away. You just throw them all into the jungle and say, let's see how we do.
Right. We'll do. Yeah. So we were trying to think. We've 4 games. We go one day, Sean, remember Sean Mosley?
Yeah.
Sean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sean's our pitching guy. He's fantastic. He takes these guys that you look at and go, I don't know if they're ever going to pitch varsity. Next thing you know, we just threw a combined no-hitter with 2 kids that you thought they're not going to pitch varsity, and they look great,
Wow.
So we were talking, and it's like, we're not holding runners well. And I agreed. And I said, and he goes, well, what do you think? You want to talk? And I said, we'll work on stealing bases. You work on holding runners. Get on the mound. We'll set up 3 bases, and we just do it live. Like, let's go. Let's get right in the middle of that situation. Now all you guys go to second, and understand, because you can tell them they need to see, when the runner's going back to second, now deliver, right? If you're staring at the runner, he can't go anywhere without you stepping off. So be really good at staring at the runner and then going to the plate. And the only way you get good at that is doing it, live.
Yeah.
And we got no scrimmages. Oh, I'm sorry. We got 1 scrimmage this year. So we're still kind of going through some things that only gameplay can teach, which we're fine with. And that's part of it. And we've been really good at holding runners. And I think that's part of it, just because we go, well, I want to work on stealing bases. I want to work on delays. You want to work on hold. Let's do it together. It's the best way to do it. So yeah, get right in the jungle, get out of the zoo, get out of the jungle. Cause we all know when the game starts, emotions are gone and it's different people and it's not funny anymore, So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that combo stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I definitely see I see a pretty, I don't know. I guess just the guys that I've been talking to and guys you talk to, it just honestly seems that there's a lot more why don't we play more? Why don't we just do this and play the game more? You go to a lot of other sports and it's, here's a 2-minute drill. We're running it, we're playing 5-on-5 basketball. We're going to play the game. And I think, I guess I'm probably speaking something to myself too, but that's some of the things that a big change is you got to put them in those situations. And I love how you guys said, here's the problem. Well, we're not holding runners on. Well, I'd like to work on that. Let's play. Let's, I guess the thing is what's tough is the pace of things. How do you, so you just mentioned there, I don't know if anybody picked it up, but you said you threw down 3 bases and you had 3 guys going at once. So you kept the pace of practice up, because I know for us, we always want to kind of keep the pace of practice moving faster than the game. So the game slows down.
So that's it. I want the practice to be 10 times harder than the game. And if we do our jobs as coaches, then we should kind of just be able to sit back and watch the game and maybe make a couple decisions. And that's what's cool, and, at that particular drill, the pitcher's only working with the first guy. He's trying, he's picking, and you see everybody go from a coach just, doing this over and over. stepping off with the back foot. He's going through the motions to where now you start seeing a real chance where this kid could get picked. And not only could he get picked, he could get embarrassed.
Yeah.
He could be the only one that dives back. The other two take off, and you're putting pressure, and we do it. And I got this from Sherm, but twice a week, we'll just go warm up, catch play, hands drills, outfielder, hips, all that stuff, and then get right into men on first and third, one out. Get a pitcher out there. And even that was like, Sean goes, I don't, because I'm not a pitching guy. So I'm like, if they're going to throw a bullpen, they could throw it live.
Yeah.
Right. And Sean goes, yeah. And then he comes around and we're having conversations and it becomes organic. Well, they can't throw this. And I go, they could throw off speed. Why wouldn't they throw off speed first and third, one out in a real situation? They can throw off speed, throw curveballs. So mix it up. Like I want our guys bunting and base running to be as realistic as possible. And in reality, we're not just throwing fastballs down the middle. We practiced bunting last year more than anybody, and we were terrible at it. And it's like, well, we don't bunt live. We bunt off a machine. That's, my 6-year-old son could bunt off a machine. It goes the same place every time. Mm-hmm. So the more live you can do, the better. And it's uncomfortable and it's weird and it's frustrating, but it really pays off.
No, I agree, man. I definitely see there's a definitely difference there, because I think it's just hard because we can't dictate the pace. We can do for a little bit, but it's just the pace of the practice. And I think that's what becomes uncomfortable for a coach. I know, like for me, like just kind of you want to see it go well and you want to see it move well. So our game just kind of doesn't have a clock. It kind of goes where it wants.
Well, and in the jungle stuff, you want to see you want to see it happen how you think it should happen, right? You want to see a first and third where we run a first and third play, offensively perfect, and the defense runs it perfect, and when the pitcher can't throw a strike, it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, this is the game. Now, so we'll stick him out there, and we had a sophomore, he went out there, and I go, okay, second and third, it's a 2-2 count, figure it out. Like, let's get super used to being uncomfortable, and how are we going to deal with it?
So going back to your own personal challenges, being me, I'm just got to a point where I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, and again, there's that life lesson that comes around, and all of a sudden you sneak right into there when you're decompressing them and saying, here's life. Just
you feel like you earned your day, right? Like you feel like you earned it. If you wake up in the morning, you don't do anything. Sundays are my cheat days. So Sundays I wake up, I don't work out, typically get a donut with kids, maybe grab some bad food, a couple Bloody Marys. And at the end of the day, I feel terrible. It's like Monday, I feel terrible. Back in the gym, and it's like, today's Monday, I'm good to go. Energy, I feel good. I've eaten clean. It's like you got to pay a little.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's good, though, man. You keep yourself loose, though, too. You can't keep yourself tight, and then all of a sudden, that's good. Right. I could use that. I could definitely use that. That's a nugget for me, for sure, man. I appreciate that.
But you're talking about how to come up with those ideas. Like I sit with RJ sometimes. Like our families are very close. We have kids that are virtually the same age. Our wives get along great. We go to USA events, and our family, his wife came up here and stayed for 10 days with their kids, and they help each other out, Awesome. And, RJ and I'll sit and just kind of, when we were in Cary the last time, we just sat. You have these ideas like, we'll go to the USA. We'll do all the USA stuff. And then at night we'll go out and have a beer and some good food and see all of our friends. Next thing you know, it's RJ and I in the hotel. Like, well, if we ran this first and third play, and if you tweaked it this way, it's like such baseball nerds, but I'm into it. And that's how those ideas come up.
Yeah.
It's
early in the morning or late at night. One of the
yeah. It's like
for sure.
Just letting the creativity go. And he's very creative. He's one of the most baseball creative people I know. And there's no the good thing that RJ and I are good at is both of us don't subscribe to, well, you just have to do it that way because that's how it's always done. Like we don't have that thought. There's got to be a better way. Somebody hasn't done it yet. There's a better way.
Yeah, right. That's great. That's great. So let's talk some USA baseball, man. Yeah, man, if you want to go on that route. Dude, like USA baseball, getting into that, like how do you, I guess putting on that hat, do you kind of wear the same hat where you get a chance to kind of talk about your experience, talk about your life lessons, or are you really just running your infield stuff and your base running stuff is still at that same level? Like, do you basically wear the same hat?
I think it kind of, when I first started, it was just doing whatever I was told to do, like doing whatever I could find, and such an honor to be a part of USA baseball. And, it's like, I've said this a few times, but I got to wear like two of the greatest uniforms. I got to wear the United States Marine uniform, and I get to wear USA on my chest,
Yeah.
So I do, I've talked about like talking to the kids about it. I've done a few little things talking at tryouts and things about what it means and how it's not just a club or travel team and to represent your country. And I can't get through the national anthem hardly without tears in my eyes every time we have a game. And I'm not ashamed of that. Like there's appreciation and there's memories and an appreciation and a whole gamut of emotions. But like, I think I just look at that flag when the, national anthem comes on, and I'm so appreciative of everything, of baseball, America, good or bad America, whatever, or, my wife, my kids. And when I'm not kidding, like we'll do USA stuff and I'll just look at that hat and go like, how many people would love to wear this right now? So yeah, I take that with me to USA, and then like it's the most honor in the world to be a part of that. So, and
perspective again.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Perspective again. You said, here it comes again.
It's everything. Perspective's everything to me.
Yeah.
If you lose perspective, then you kind of lose your way. And someone's got it worse than me on my worst day. And I it may sound bad. I don't know if you can really enjoy all the good without knowing some of the bad. Because there's definitely been times that I've looked and I felt worse than I do today,
Yeah.
So, but the USA thing's great. And I was accepted in USA with open arms by those guys, and they made me feel so welcome. And I joke about it, and Butch always gets mad at me. I'm like, I'm so far. I look at USA, I'm like, why am I here with all you guys? Like, you know what I mean? And they're just like, no, you're supposed to be. Like, if you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here. Like, and so it makes me feel good, confident that I do deserve to be there. But part of it is the people, from Paul Seiler and Ashley Bratcher and Will Shore all the way down that literally get a Christmas card like, hey, thanks for being you. It's like, it's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, man. No, that's awesome. It's awesome, buddy. Oh man. Super, super cool. B-Man. Super cool, man.
Right.
Just thinking about so looking at all of this, you're great. And then you started Coastal Empire with RJ. You guys are up and down the West Coast with that. I talked to RJ about trying to get you guys out here too. East Coast. Wow. But man, just looking at that, what kind of perspective could you have to maybe talk to other guys about just being like the best perspective or lessons learned about being an assistant coach, like a guy with knowing their role and fulfilling the best they can with their role?
Well, the standard one is, be where your feet are. Knowing that you may have an idea, but it may not be what's best for the team. And that's the head coach's plan. And like I said, I'm very blessed to have guys that are very open. I'm trying to think this year. I don't know if Coach Tolley has said no to me. Like, I don't know if that happened. I don't remember Brad saying no to some of my crazy ideas. Like, well, we'll try them, see what's up. Like, we were talking about some of those pick plays, and it's like, if this doesn't work, we're going to look terrible, but is also just trying to get better, being an example, understanding how much the head coach has to do, and taking pride in being, I want to be the best assistant coach in the country, right? I want to be, not just because I know baseball, but because I know the kids and I know life. And I want those kids to understand that there's someone there for them that can help you, and that's the cool part to me. Like I've always said it, I probably, as a head coach, I don't know if I'd stress winning and losing enough. Because I believe everybody talks process. Well, if you really believe in the process, winning can't be your goal, right? Yeah. Doing everything right has to be your goal. And then winning becomes a byproduct of day one commitment, buy-in, discipline, attention to detail. Why do we clean our shoes every day? Attention to detail. Why, and it's like, I want a kid that asks me the first day, like, why are we cleaning our shoes? Well, if you can't clean your shoes every day, then you probably don't have the ability and the discipline of the attention to detail that we need from you to be a good teammate. You know what I mean? It's a 2-minute process. And that's part of the deal, is taking the time to do something that we ask you to do that's only going to benefit you. And it's not a military thing. It's a USA baseball thing, but that's it. It's attention to detail. It's pride. And then from those two things, we can build a lot. And unselfishness and trying to make someone else a hero. If you get 20 guys trying to make their guy next to him a hero, you're going to have a good team.
Oh yeah.
So that's it. I mean, as far as being an assistant, it's just being comfortable being an assistant.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I'm perfectly comfortable where I'm at. I know I'm a good baseball coach. I know I could do other things. I think one day I'll probably pull the trigger if the right thing comes, but until then, I'm going to do my best to support the head coach and make him look as good as he can.
Well, like you're saying, like you're living the message you're saying too, which even just shows your leadership, and because you're trying to help the next guy next to you, which is the head coach, look like a hero.
Sure.
That's what you're doing.
Yep.
And then look where it's got you.
Well, it's like this was his first game of the year as a head coach. And the last thing I told those guys was, let's go get him his first win. Let's not make it about you. Let's make it about somebody else and watch how good things turn out.
Mm-hmm.
And we celebrate those little things. Like, you sacrifice bunt and you get it down, that's a home run in our book. Like, we're all out of the dugout for you. That's it. Like, we celebrate unselfishness. So, home runs too. We just don't hit them.
Celebrate selflessness. Daggone right, man. Daggone right.
Because what is that kid going to learn when he's 20 years down the road? He's got a little kid at home and a wife. You better be unselfish. You know what I mean? You better have something inside of you telling you this is the right way to be. And if that starts when they're in high school, then great, But if, I don't know how kids are, everybody goes, oh, kids are terrible these days. It's a whole different generation. It's like, maybe you just need to try harder as a coach.
Do something different. Yeah.
That's it. Do something different. Try and talk to the parent. Try and talk to the kid and the player together. Like, have we had a conversation about playing time with the parent too? Because what happens, you tell the kid, but what happens between that conversation and when he gets home? Mm-hmm. Does that kid want to impress dad so much that he said, oh, they said I'm the best player on the team, dad? Right? Or did the kid not hear it how you said it? Like, so if we're sitting here talking together, well, now we're on the same page, and now you know what you need to get better at, and dad knows and mom knows. And we're not fighting this communication game, relationships. I believe life's all about relationships, and everything starts with that.
Kind of started and finished with that, man. Because you started the conversation about that, like just kind of your ability as assistant coach, due to the fact that the head coach is pulled so many ways, that you're able to build that relationship and get in there with and be more available, in the small group setting. So, man, it kind of came full circle.
Well, it's almost like the military, right? Most of the things I do, I learned in the Marine Corps.
Yep.
And it, a couple bad habits too, but but there's a general, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a corporal. I was never a general. I was the guy that had to go to the next guy. And then I went to the guy above me to get things fixed if I couldn't do it. That's where I'm at now. Like Steve's got a ton of stuff to deal with, from grades to fans. And now how many fans are we allowed during COVID? What's the athletic director? What are we setting up? Is this right? And then, so it's up to me to take what we can handle, and Sean and Marcus Silvera and the other coaches here. We have a young guy named Elliot Talley who went to Clemson, and he's back at the high school here, and he's learning. And I find it incumbent upon myself to teach him the right way. Like, hey, don't expect him to be perfect. Not. So it's up to us to fix what we can fix, so it doesn't get up the chain of command, so he can worry about what he needs to worry about, and do it as well as we can, so we continue to get that freedom. And in order to make not only him look good, but the program look good.
Yeah, they are fortunate to have an assistant like you, man, to be able to care.
It. Thank you.
Very, very fortunate. You can't have a good program without it. We cannot. I mean, you can't. You can't. Head coaches cannot do it all themselves. But so they're extremely fortunate, man, just to have a guy that just cares so much more about the program, wants to make the head coach a hero, being where their feet are, just tremendous. It's just, speaking from a head coach perspective, like it's just super invaluable. And you just consistently see throughout, and that's why, right now, I'm just looking for okay, here's why this program is really good. Look at this guy behind the scenes. Here's why this program is good. Look at this guy. Because it's just highlighting those great guys that are so unselfish, that are so selfless, and it's awesome, man. So be mad, you're the man.
I take pride in that. I take pride in being the guy behind the scenes. I like it. I've always had admiration for those guys. Remember Joe Dumars?
Heck
Dumars?
Yeah, from the Pistons.
Yeah. Joe Dumars got no love.
Nah.
But he was the biggest glue guy there, he
was. Kept them together because Isaiah was crazy.
Played defense. Isaiah was crazy. Lambeer was crazy. Mark Aguirre, and it's like Kurt Rambis. I loved those guys. I thought they were cool. I love Jordan too, but it's you got to have those guys, and I think even that, part of it is, if I became a head guy, it's oh man, I got to get some good assistants here,
right? It's not an easy thing to do. There is a very small percent. There's a lot of good coaches, good head coaches, but to find a guy like yourself and other great assistants like you, RJ, Tanner, you just do not. Right. I bet you that's a smaller percentage.
Yeah, possibly. We have 2 freshmen or 3 freshman coaches, and they're fantastic. And they're there, and they're teaching the kids the right way to do things. And it's how do you find guys that just want to be freshman coaches?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And God bless them, and JV guys. And it's someone can't get all the glory.
Right.
But you have to take pride in that, be Joe Dumars. Don't be Isaiah. Go be Joe Dumars.
Yeah. But now it's just such an invaluable, and like I said, I think only great in every great program, I would debate that you just can't. It's not possible. It's not possible to have a great program without those great assistants. Guys that just care about the program.
Like any sport, if you ask good head coaches, most of them say I have really good people around me.
It's just what it is. Just what it is. My best years, and have just been just a rock solid staff that cared more about the program and cared about those kids, and it wasn't worried about where they're going to go do next or trying to outdo me or outdo the head coach. So, yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
It's been great. So people want to get into Empire Coast. People want to maybe touch base with you. What's the best way to do that, man?
Coastal Empire, you can go to www.coastalempire.com baseball.com.
Okay.
Is that long? I think.
Yeah.
CoastalEmpireBaseball.com. You can email me at cacoastbaseball@gmail.com. Yeah, those two places are great.
Bryan Madsen, just killing it. So again, Coach Madsen, you can reach him out at Bryan Madsen23, all social media platforms. Great follow, great coach, and even better person. So again, can't thank him enough. Just to rehash a little bit of things that really stuck out to me as I reflect about this episode, thinking about it. Coach Madsen, behind every great program, are going to have great assistants. And Coach Madsen's no exception to that. Just a guy that just wants to make someone else a hero. A guy that wants to preach selflessness. That's the team-oriented. That's what you need, a great team. And a guy that doesn't need the credit. Isn't looking for the next job. Is comfortable where his feet are. And still willing to learn how he does his craft better. Wants to learn the better way. His career takes off when he says he doesn't know everything. And here's a guy who works for USA Baseball. What are some of us doing that feel that they know everything? What are we doing? And again, it works for some people, and I guess success, just a matter how you define success. But when you could be a great person, a great coach, and do things in all areas, that's success. That's success. And Coach Madsen, Bryan Madsen, he exemplifies that. So, again, reach out to him, connect with him. If there's anything else that you'd like, Coastal Empire Baseball, you're talking two great coaches with RJ and with Bryan. And, I'd love to get him out here on the East Coast for sure to put on and help them out with if I can. If anybody else is also looking for other camps, infield camps especially, to want to get them out here, they'll be a great addition to the East Coast for sure. Bryan's email, cacoastalbaseball@gmail.com. Again, a great follow on social media at Bryan Madsen23. It's Madsen, Madsen23. So, Coach Madsen, can't thank you enough. Keep doing your thing. You're killing it. We're all better here, people. Following your lead. Making other people heroes. So, appreciate you. Thank you for all you did. Thank you for helping me get better. And until next week, keep getting better.